we've started a new series of podcasts that include the national board process, and we've got some with interviews with candidates and NBCTs, but I want to talk kind of about the whole process and what it looks like. But I also have Shelby here with me, because Shelby knows about the process, but after her first year of teaching, she still doesn't, she's not eligible yet, so she still has a few years. So I kind of have Shelby here to help me talk about the process and just question me and keep me on the right track.
I feel like I've grown up coming to these meetings and watching you and listening to you tell teachers of how great the national board process is, but I think these podcasts really share the important part. Like, yes, there's components and payments and scholarships, and there's so many great things, but these podcasts will do an incredible job of doing what makes national board special and makes it what every teacher's goal should be. And so I am excited. And yeah, I've grown up my whole life going on Saturdays in different schools and hearing you talk about how great it is in these different components and how to do it. And then watching teachers, how am I going to do this? And so I'm excited to hear it again. So then, I'll be ready in a couple years, I hope, to go through the process on my own. But I'm excited to hear all of the details about it overall.
So you kind of started out with coming to the meetings. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our state support. In Oklahoma, our support is free, besides a little bit of travel, but we have it set up regionally. There's 10 regional coordinators that meet with everyone in the region. We try to make that where candidates don't have to drive more than an hour or so. And then they have support at the state meetings on Saturdays. These are all out of school hours. This is not during the school, but there are Saturday mornings. They're usually in Oklahoma City, centralized, where everybody comes together, and then they work individually in each of their areas. And that's where, of course, you've gone to a lot of them with me, but the Saturday meetings, they're all day long talking and looking at national board. And like I said, Oklahoma, that support is free. There are, which is important because there are a lot of states that it does cost for that. So I talked a little bit about you're not quite ready, and you probably could do it, but you have 1 year experience. And so national board, you have to have 3 years experience. And I think that's just to make sure that, you're an amazing teacher already, and there's amazing teachers everywhere their first year, but yet there's still those things that you're perfecting and working on. So really, after 3 years would be a good part to start to think about it. And a lot of people, it seems like it's like that 6th or 7th year is what it really seems. A lot of them are doing. And for Oklahoma, you have to be teaching full time. Now that's for our scholarship. For national board, you do not. But if you want our scholarship, you do have to be teaching full time. And we talked a little bit about areas every once in a while. There's 25 different areas to certify. Almost anything you teach, you can certify in, or you can certify in another area. National Board is very open about the areas from anywhere from school nursing, world languages, early childhood. Being in 2nd grade, you would probably be early childhood, but you could also do the elementary too, depending on the age of students that you're teaching at that point. So I'm going to attempt this again. This is not funny because I can never remember the total price, but the total price for national board, if you were going to get out your checkbook and write a check out for all of it, is $1,900. And there's always a $75 processing fee and registration fee. And so that is $475 a component. So that's the total. But Oklahoma has this great scholarship Education Leadership Oklahoma, the scholarship is $1,300, plus you get a $500 stipend. You can use that in your classroom. It comes directly to you, or we say, okay, or you can use it on your portion to pay National Board. So what happens is we split up that scholarship, and so OEQA pays $325 for each component, and the candidates pay $150 for each component. Our scholarship is on our website, which is oeqa.ok.gov, and we have an early bird special. I'm a shopper, if you can tell. The early bird special, if you turn in your scholarship by October 15th, you get the $500 check sent out to you just immediately. Then we have another deadline of December 15th, and that's the $500 takes a little bit longer because there's a lot more to process. Is that understandable about the cost? And there's still be recruitment meetings and a lot of people to ask about that, but that's kind of where it is right now.
In your opinion, how many years should you plan in advance? So, I know that there's some teachers that they just go to the recruitment meeting in early fall, right when school starts, and they think, okay, I'm going to do it this year. But what would you advise for somebody, looking into it and not sure about it? How, what do they need to do before they know, okay, this is my year, I'm going to start?
I think that we used to start in the summer, and that's when there were more entries. And so we've kind of moved it back because National Board has moved their deadlines back. But you can start February 28th. But we usually say if you start that late, just do the assessment entry. There's different entries. There used to be one that we used to call Take One, and you could take one to just kind of fill it out. So that's what we tell people, fill it out with component one. Go to the assessment center. That's your content knowledge. That's your informational. And then let's dip into the other ones if that's something. And that's the other great question when you brought that up, is that everything's online right now. Anybody can go look right now at all of the instructions, the standards, all of it, the rubrics, how it's scored. There's a ton of information. So we always start out with the 5 core propositions, which is an accomplished teacher, and it's what you want to see out of every teacher. We try to present that even in our pre-service teachers to start thinking about, yes, we're committed to students and their learning. We know our subject. We're members of a learning community. We, think about those things. So you kind of have that thinking process. I guess to answer your question, I think I would have looked at it before I go to the recruitment meetings. You can take time and read it all, and you can do it that first year. I think we talked, or Sarah's one of the podcasts, and Sarah did all 4 of them. I think she had really thought about the process before to kind of see what it looks like. And if you're ready for that, go for it.
Another question, just thinking, I know it's different for every component, different areas, and how you set it up, but what is the least amount of time that it's going to take me to accomplish this? And then what is my max? Am I going to retire still going through National Board, or, and when I'm planning out my future and thinking about, okay, when is this going to happen? What's the least amount of time that I would have to work really hard to get it all done? And what's the most amount of time that it would take me to get through the whole process?
So National Board is 4 components, and you can do them you can do them in 3 years. You have to do all of them in 3 years, but you can pick and choose. You can do so the least amount of time would be 1 year. And our timeline is you start recruitment in the fall, you start looking at it, you start pulling samples, and then it's submitted each spring. And then you get your scores in December, and this process starts again. Or you're finished. So if you take all 4, you'd be finished in 1 year. But you can space it out. You could space it out to 3 years, and they also give you 2 more years to retake any of those. So it could be a 1-year process up to a 5-year process. And then I hadn't really thought about much about the maintenance of certification because you talked about retirement. So you're certified for 5 years, and then to maintain that certification in 5 years, you do a deep it's basically a deep reflection over your teaching, and then that way you're always certified. And in Oklahoma, we have over 3,000 National Board certified teachers, and we have posters that has every National Board teacher. And so a lot of people, they're certified, that used to be 10 years. They are an amazing teacher. They might be close to retirement. It might be a busy time. So they're done. But then there's quite a few, about 30%, that say, oh no, I'm going to keep being a National Board certified teacher. So I'm going to renew. I'm going to keep that up. So I guess I have renewed twice. So I've been a National Board certified teacher since 1999. So you can continue that certification, and you can continue it. We have people that are already retired, but they're still National Board certified.
Also, I love how you always explain, when Vanna was here with us on the other podcast, she was talking about deciding, okay, I'm at the point I want to do something to further my career, but I don't know if I want to do my master's or do National Board. And I know that you've answered that question because I've heard so many people ask you that. And would you just talk about how National Board changes you from the inside? Will you explain? I love how you explain that.
So that is asked a lot by legislators sometimes, and just by people thinking about it. Well, which is better, to get your master's or to do National Board? Well, I did National Board first. And then I got my master's. You can do it either way. I think it's where you're at in your life, actually. But National Board, thinking about which way am I going to do it? How am I going to go about this? So I tell people that National Board changes I'm going to start with the master's. I don't know why, but the master's is a great way to expand your teaching and to expand your knowledge. But a master's changes the outside of the teacher. And National Board changes the inside of a teacher. It really changes your total thought processes. It changes how you handle each day. And so both of them improve a teacher. But if you want true change in your teaching, I would say National Board, because it's on the inside. I think that's the hard part to show people, because you can show people test scores. You can, and I always tell people, I don't care if their test scores will be higher, but that's not what I'm looking at. I think we're trying to find, how do you measure those aha moments? How do you look at that teacher? I can tell story after story of teachers that come in unsure of themselves and their practice. They're a good teacher, but they're still just not sure why they're a good teacher. And at the end of the process, they know why they're teaching and what they're doing. So I think that's a great way to, I'm so excited to get to wait and watch you go through the process.
Yeah, it'll be a few years for sure.
That's okay.
I'm excited. I just, I have a different perspective than most people on the whole thing. And I think it's the best thing that any teacher could do for themselves. But, you do such a good job of encouraging and explaining why it's important, and why it's important for our state, and how it's important for our students ultimately, and how you can actually make a change in your classroom by doing, by just learning more about how you teach and what you do, and watching and reflecting and reflecting and reflecting. And I'm excited to go through, for sure.
Oh, well, good. The only other thing I really wanted to kind of talk about, I talked about that it's all on the website. You can go now, nbpts.org. You can search for National Board. You can find it. Everything, rubrics, scoring guide, instructions, standards, it's not a secretive process. They even have a platform called Atlas that has videos of teachers that are going through, that have certified. So there's even that access. But just a little bit about the 4 components, because just when you've listened to this, but you're like, oh, I still don't know what you do. So there are 4 components. One is at the assessment center. And if you've taken your OSATs and your OPTIs, I kind of say it's an OSAT and OPTI all together, because it is your content knowledge. You have to should have a lot. There's multiple choice, essay questions, but that's kind of it put together, is thinking about that. And then component 2 is student work. You turn in student work. You want to show differentiation, how you use differentiation for different students, but it's their work being sent in. All of this is anonymous, so just if anybody, names are not on any of this. Component 3 is the video. That's where you see if the walk matches the talk, because you can write a beautiful, my class does this, and then the video doesn't show that. So that's more of the classroom environment. And then component 4, we've been trying to think of a name for it, but it's just collaboration with a lot of different people. It's the community, it's your students, it's teachers, but it's all based on assessment. So it's not just a project that you do, but it's something you bring everybody in, but you base it on assessments as you go. I think, is there any other questions that you can think of right now about the process part of it?
No, I think you answered all of those questions. You might just say something about the support and how important, explain that, you can go through the process on your own, or you can go to all these meetings that all these incredible teachers there are to support you and help you and figure out what you're doing wrong and get you the next steps. So in your eyes, how is that important?
Well, we try to support candidates, and we don't want anybody to go through it alone. You can, but it's not as fun. No. We have regional meetings once a month, and so there's regional support, and these coordinators have to be certified, so they have to keep their certification up. And we have trainings all the time. They know about state legislation. They know about trends in education. They know about all of that stuff too. So it's not just like somebody holding a meeting and you're coming in to talk about it. They've studied the process. So that's close to home. And then we have state meetings. We have 3 to 4 a year where you come to Oklahoma City. It's everybody all together. They're at all different stages, because when we talked about they could be doing component 1, 2, retakes, they could be doing all of it. They're all at different stages, but that's that specialized, okay, I get to just sit with an early childhood teacher. I just have this library media teacher. And then you have me, which I work at the state level, where I'm able to watch all of it and get you another NBCT, somebody to read, somebody to look at it. You're having problems with the website. So you have the support of OEQA. And then national, there's a lot of national groups, especially on Facebook. There's probably a Facebook group for each area. So it helps to talk to people in other states, because you're doing the same thing, but it looks differently in other states. And that is all free. So that part's free. So basically, a lot of it, there's just a little bit of a payment, but we pretty well cover all of it. And we are working. This has come up before. We're working we're working with our legislators to bring back a stipend to honor the National Board Certified Teachers. And our legislators are amazing. If COVID-19 wouldn't have hit, we probably would have been there, but we'll go back to the drawing board again. And we have great support at the legislators too.
Mm-hmm. It's a good place to be.
Yeah. Thanks for helping me today.
Yes, it was awesome.